Good morrow, friends. I'm Jordan, and this is Not Strictly History. Hello, friends. If you are hearing this recording, it means that you listen to Not Strictly History on a different platform other than Spotify. Bow, 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 bow. Which means you're going against the grain, and we can all tip our hats to you for that. But because I love all of you, and I want everybody who listens everywhere to be able to get Not Strictly History, I have recorded this special intro for you. This episode was so much fun to make, and it was incredible, but it was filled with a lot of music clips that were specifically from Spotify. So I've redone the episode without any of the music clips and replaced those clips with my regular transition. So, just so you know, you're getting the episode minus the music clips. I encourage you to go listen to any of the clips that I mention. I love you all so much. Thank you and enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome, everybody. It is great to see you again, even though I can't see you. Hello. Just in case you were wondering, the English language does not contain words adequate for me to explain to you how excited I am about this episode. I am so freaking excited. As you may or may not have noticed, we've got a different sound going on in between clips today, and I'm here for it. I am so excited. I'm trying to keep my voice from like shake laughing, you know? Welcome to the very first episode of Not Strictly History, that is, Not Strictly History. Today, we're going to be talking about something and someone who I love with my entire heart, and something that I am very, very passionate about. And even though you clicked on the episode and you know why you're here, I'm gonna do a dramatic lead up because holy crap, guys, I don't know how to explain it to you. I cannot accurately talk about how excited I am to go over this incredible thing, okay? I have notes galore. I'm I'm just so excited, okay? I have been so far I've noticed I've been really really conscious of how long my episodes are, which I think is a good thing. I'm not going to like stress about it this time though, because I don't want to feel stressed during this episode. Now, if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, that's cool. But we're going to have fun. I'm so excited. I can't wait to touch on everything that I want to touch on. I will tell you there is nothing in this episode that is doesn't need to be here. Everything I've put in here for a reason. I feel like it tells the story. And because we're talking about a specific thing, okay, well, you know what? This lead up is going places. Today, we're talking about Macklemore, friends. That's right. The Macklemore, the best rapper ever. Okay, that's a really loaded statement, but I love Macklemore. I love Macklemore. I love him so much. I'm a huge fan. I have pretty much always been. I adore him. I am here for Macklemore in every way, shape, and form. And I am so excited to record this episode. I'm actually shaking. Like, here we are. I'm so stoked. Okay, so as you may or may not have noticed, it's cool if you didn't. I don't really swear, and by that I mean I don't, but because it's rap music and I will be adding quite a few clips, I'm going to mark this episode as explicit because some swear words might make their way. Wow. Some swear words might make their way into it. They're not mine, but I'm going to mark it explicit anyway, just for, I think that'll be fun for the kids. Okay. So, now that the business is out of the way, let's talk a teeny bit, okay? So, originally, when I was thinking about this episode, because I've been thinking about it for a long time, I've written like 75 outlines, done a million research things, like, guys, it's a big deal. I was originally thinking that I would just do kind of like an album review, essentially, of his most recent album, which would have been fun, don't get me wrong. But because I love Macklemore so much, and I respect him so much as a person and as a musician, I don't feel like I would be doing justice to the whole thing unless we talked about more than just that. So we're going to touch on some biographical information. We're going to talk about his most recent album. We're going to talk about some other albums. We're going to talk about some past hits, some hidden gems. We are going to deep dive into Macklemore, and it is going to be a raging party. If you're not here for it, you should be, okay? Listen, if you are a Macklemore fan, this is going to be your favorite episode in the land. If you're not a Macklemore fan, I encourage you to listen for just a little bit, get to know him, dip your toe in the water a little bit more, and just see where it takes you, see what happens. For real, because this is going to be awesome and I'm excited. And now that I've gone on and on about this for about 5 minutes, let's get into it. So, I feel like it's really important to let all of you know that I am super passionate about music. If any of you know me personally, you understand that I'm really passionate about music. So is everybody in my family. I said that weird, family. We're not necessarily musical, but we're all very, very passionate about the music that we enjoy. And one of the things I love most about music is being able to connect to the musician. And so, spoiler alert, this is not going to be the only episode where I talk about a musician and their work. I have many more on the list, in the works, in drafts. But we had to begin with Macklemore because I love him so much, and he's been very significant in my life recently because his most recent album just came out. But just so you know, we're going to be doing this more. So let's talk about Macklemore. Macklemore is incredible. I'm going to say that like 75 million times throughout this episode, but okay, I need to focus. Let's begin. Macklemore, or as he is actually named, Benjamin Hammond Haggerty, was born on June 19th, 1983, in Seattle, Washington, as pretty much everybody knows. He loves Seattle. He loves his hometown. He loves his city. He talks about it all the time. A lot of his music talks about it. We're going to talk about the song Downtown. But another thing, like more than just loving his hometown, he really is there for the city of Seattle and supports it and helps try to clean it up and help the people. And I mean, it's not just, hey, love my hometown. Like he is really there for it. And that's one of the many, many things that I really appreciate about him. So he's born in 1983 to Bill and Julie Haggerty, and he has one brother named Tim, which I actually didn't know. Crazy town. So, when Macklemore slash Ben, I'll probably call him both throughout the episode, when he was 6 years old, that is when hip hop came into his life, okay? Which I love that for him. When he was 15, he started writing lyrics, which he actually mentions that in one of the songs that is on his most recent album, how he had an old beat up car as a teenager, and he would sit in the back and write his poems. He sings about that. When he started to sing, his biggest influence was East Coast underground hip hop, which like my heart is soaring with the eagle's nest. Okay, super stoked about that because I just think it's lovely. So, Macklemore went to two different high schools. He went to Nathan Hale High School and he went to Garfield High School. Shout out to any of you if you go to those high schools. Now, while he attended Nathan Hale High School, this is really significant, everyone. It was while he was at this high school that he developed his stage name, which was originally Professor Macklemore. Again, no words can describe how much I love that. What I love even more is why he came up with this stage name. It was actually for an art project that centered around making up a superhero, and I just have no words for how much I love that. Okay, so the Garfield High School, while he was there, this is so cool. Guys, this is so cool. While he was attending Garfield High School, he started a hip hop group called Elevated Elements, and they actually dropped an album in the year 2000 called Progress. I'm going to find it. I've tried to find it. I'm going to find it somehow. I need to listen to that. Like, where do I sign? Okay. So, Elevated Elements, they dropped an album in 2000. Thank you. Thank you, music gods. Okay. Another important thing to talk about, One of the things that Macklemore is known for is how much he loves working with youth, and he really prioritizes working with youth and exposing them to music and teaching them what music can do for you. And all of this actually started while he was in high school. So he joined a group called Gateways for Incarcerated Youth. And while he was in this group, he facilitated a bunch of music workshops, which I think is awesome. And it shows that this has been an emphasis, a passion of his from day one, which I love. After high school, Macklemore enrolled in the College of Santa Fe for 1 year. Again, something I didn't know, okay? Um, he was only there again for 1 year, and here's a quote that he talks about that time. He said, "It was a very pivotal time in a lot of ways. Santa Fe was the place where I got good at rapping." I wish I had more information on that. How did you get good at rapping, sir? Ben, tell me. Tell me. I don't know, but this is where he got good at rapping. He actually, so at this time, he had applied for the music program there, and he didn't get in. And so he moved back to Seattle. And he actually talks about this again in his most recent album. And one of the songs mentions how he never got into music school, but look what he did with music. Fool. Pretty sure that those are the lyrics. So even though he didn't get into music school, I mean, I'm sure it was a blow, definitely. But obviously, look where he is now. He didn't let that stop him. So he moved back to Seattle, and then he eventually got his bachelor's degree in 2009 from the Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington. Um, I don't know what he got his bachelor's degree in, but let me tell you something. The fact that Macklemore has a bachelor's degree sends me to somewhere in my head that I love and wasn't expecting, but love so much. And I like like, can you imagine just being in class one day and you're all there and you're like 20 years old and life blows and you just want to die, basically. Your professor asks you a stupid question. Somebody raises their hand to answer it. You look over and it's Macklemore. Sign me up. Take me to this class because I want to be there. It's time to talk about the aspect of Macklemore's life that I appreciate the most, hands down. The thing about him that to me makes him such an incredible person and such an icon, somebody who should actually be an icon and an idol at Bailey Sarian. Get better idols, people. And please, please, please let Macklemore be one of them. And I'm going to tell you why. So, we're going to talk a little bit about his personal life and his family. He's actually a pretty private dude, but we do know the important things, okay? So, on January 21st, 2013, that was when he got engaged to who is now his wife, Trisha Davis. At that point, they had been dating for 7 years. In January of 2015, he announced that they were expecting their first baby. And in May of that year, May 29th, 2015, the one, the only, the iconic, the fabulous, the amazing, show stopping, never been done before, the most incredible human being ever was born. Sloane Haggerty was born. Everybody. Brr, 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 brr. That was a good day. Even if you didn't know that that was a good day, my friends, that was a good day. Sloane is, like I said, she's iconic. We're going to talk about her a lot of times in this episode. Again, she's his oldest child. She is incredible. That's all there is to it. She's actually incredible. At this point in time, she's 7 years old. And I think she's cooler than I will ever be. She's just amazing. She's so funny. She's so talented. She's on his Instagram all the time. And it's like, how do I follow Sloane? Like, how do I just give her all of my love and adoration and like put Sloane in charge of my life, please? I'm pretty sure things would go better if Sloane Haggerty was in charge of my life. That's all I'm saying. I feel like it's a pretty solid thing to say. You'll agree with me if you get to know Sloane better. So, Sloane was born in 2015. In April of 2018, their second daughter, Colette, was born. They call her Coco. I was so excited about this, guys. When he announced, like, hey, we have another baby, I was like, shut up. This is the best day ever. I told everybody. And I was actually in college at the time, and some friends of my roommate were over, and one of them was this guy, and he's like what are you talking about? Like, what's going on? And I was like, dude, Macklemore had a baby. And he was like, no, that was like 3 years ago. And I said to him, do you even follow Macklemore? You can't even sit here and talk to me about his children. You don't know. Colette was just born. Go educate yourself. Like, please, sir. Okay. I don't think I said that, but that's how I felt. And then in 2021, his third child, his son Hugo, was born. I love it so much that Ben has a little boy. And I'll tell you why. He's obviously been a girl dad for a really long time, but there's just something about having a little boy, I think, and watching them together in the few things that he's posted about them together. It's been really really sweet. Um his family is so important to him. If you follow him for any length of time, that'll become really really evident to you. Not only that, like, you don't have to follow him to know that. If you listen to any of his music, his kids, his wife, his family, they come up in his music all the time. They are so important to him. His family is everything to him. Being a husband, being a dad is just, it's the best thing in the world to him. And I have proof, okay? I'm not just like throwing things out here. So I was fortunate enough a couple of weeks ago after his album came out. I'm one of his top listeners on Spotify, shocker. So I was given access to a Spotify live that he did a couple of days after his album was released. It was so much fun. There was only like 300 of us on the live. And so he actually saw a lot of my comments and questions and answered them, which, like, I'm famous now, guys. I was so happy. It was incredible. But one of the questions I actually asked was, how is your little boy doing? Because he doesn't share a ton of content about him because he's still pretty little. And he said, he's doing great. And he started telling this story about his little boy and how he woke up in the middle of the night before, and Ben went in and gave him a bottle and held him and rocked him. And he said, I just sat in the chair in his room and held him while he drank his bottle. And I was looking out over Seattle and just looking down at my little boy. And I thought to myself, this is what it's all about. These are the moments that you cherish with your children, that you keep in your heart, that you always look back on. And I'm just sitting there listening to Macklemore on this Spotify Live talk about his son, talk about this beautiful moment and what it is to be a dad. And there were literal tears in my eyes. It was so beautiful. I love how much he loves being a dad, how much he loves being a husband. There's so much about this man that is so pure. And if you really take a moment to listen to his music, you see that pretty instantly. We're going to go into all of that, but I just wanted to share that really, really beautiful story about him and his little boy. One thing about Macklemore that's pretty well known is how active he is in a lot of different communities, particularly in the addiction recovery world. He's incredibly active and does a lot of work in this realm, and that's because has a lot of personal experience in this sphere. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. This is a huge part of his story. It's a really really important part of his story. So this he actually again has a song about this on his latest album, about his kind of how addiction began and everything. It's a really beautiful song, and we'll talk about it later. But let's start here. So in 2008, Macklemore checked himself into rehab for drug addiction and alcoholism. Great job, sir. Just great job. And then he was sober again until a brief relapse in 2011. Again, he was sober after that. He was actually in a documentary in 2012, and he said in this documentary that he spent most of his 20s fighting his addictions and his destructive way of life. And to this day and forever, he'll talk about this as the disease of addiction, which is a beautiful way to put it and really, really important. And he also said, I'm not entirely sure if it was in this documentary that he said that, but I'm pretty sure it was. So I'm going to read this quote. I want to be someone who is respected and not just in terms of my music. I want to be respected in terms of the way that I treat people. Music is my creative outlet in terms of expressing what is important to me, what has importance, what has value, and I want to be respected for that. That is so important because, as you'll see, his music is really just an extension of him. And I'm I'm just speculating here, but I really don't think that Macklemore looks at himself in the mirror and says, "Hey, I'm a famous rapper," you know? I think that it's, again, as he said, music is just this creative outlet for him to express what's important to him. It's just a way that he expresses to everybody what's going on. And I think that's really beautiful. So continuing on with his addiction recovery stuff, in May 14th of 2016, he actually appeared on President Obama's weekly address to talk about the dangers of addiction to opioids and prescription painkillers. He talks about that in his new album. But in this broadcast, he said, "When you're in the middle of it, it's hard to imagine anything being worse than addiction. But the shame and stigma associated with the disease keeps too many people from seeking the help they actually need. Addiction isn't a personal choice or a personal failure." That is so important to understand. I okay, I did dare. Okay, I was there. D, I won't do drugs. Okay, I did it. I have a certificate somewhere probably. I think that for a long time we've tried to educate people on drug use and what it is, what it can do, etc., etc. But I think this aspect of it is something that doesn't necessarily get talked about enough. And that's, opioids and prescription painkillers. And I feel like I'm rambling. What I'm trying to say is I feel like it's really, really necessary and helpful and timely to bring this up now. The fact that he's such a public figure, that so many people know who he is, and that he is willing to bring attention to this issue is really, really important. And I love what he talked about at the very end, saying addiction isn't a personal choice or a personal failure. Because I feel like it's really easy to get into that mindset, like just, okay, don't do drugs. It's not necessarily that simple. And addiction isn't that simple. Um, I don't think you just go out in the street one day and say, hey, I'll take a prescription painkiller and suddenly you're an addict. This is not going to be an episode about addiction. What I'm saying is, I think it's a really important conversation to have. I encourage you to have conversations about it with each other, with your kids, to spread awareness of this and to let's try and lessen the stigma if we can. I really appreciate Macklemore for all that he does in that arena. Another thing, he headlined the Recovery Fest in Rhode Island in 2018, which I love for him. In 2019, he received the Stevie Ray Vaughan Award from Music Cares to recognize his support of the addiction recovery process. Again, I love that for him. So, we're going to jump ahead 1 year to the summer of 2020. Do you guys remember that? Do you? Oh, okay. I can hear you overwhelmingly screaming. Of course, it's 2020. That was a year, man. What a time to be alive was 2020. We all remember what that was like, how the headlines every single day were just doom. Everything just kept getting worse. I remember one day in particular. I wish I could remember what, like the date specifically, but I remember getting updates that day, like every 5 or 10 minutes about something new that was happening. And I was standing in the kitchen with my mom and my sister thinking, this has to be the end of the world. This is absolutely crazy. Then we all went into lockdown and it was crazy. So in summer of 2020, Macklemore suffered a relapse. He had a near fatal overdose during this time, and partially due to the isolation caused by COVID-19, he was hospitalized, received treatment. Obviously, he recovered, and we're very, very glad. But this particular experience, and along with recovering from addiction in general while raising kids, inspired most of the lyrical content on his latest album, Ben, which we're going to talk all about. But this aspect of him, again, is so, so important. It makes up a huge part of who he is and what he does. And again, I really appreciate that about him. So don't forget that. Have this conversation with people. Keep this conversation alive. It's really important. Okay, friends, the time has come for us to talk about Macklemore's career and his music. I'm so excited. Okay, so as many of you might know, Macklemore. By the way, we did talk about his stage name, Professor Macklemore. He eventually dropped the professor, so it is just Macklemore. He started off as an independent artist pretty much from the get go, and that's because he's always been mostly concerned with the art. I feel he is so. He actually posted about this not that long ago. You guys really need to follow him on Instagram if you're not already. He loves the art aspect. He loves making art. He loves the whole process of being an artist, and he's just a musician. That's the way he does it. And it's really, really important to him. And I feel like this plays a role in why he was an independent artist for so long. Um, there's not a lot more to say on that except that he's just great. So, in the year 2000, he dropped an album called Open Your Eyes. Again, haven't been able to find that. So, got to keep working on that. In 2005, he dropped The Language of My World. And in 2009, he dropped the Unplanned mixtape. Now, you guys probably, if you haven't heard of any of the others, you know some songs from the Unplanned mixtape. And by that, I mean this. Okay, I actually was not planning on putting another clip in that soon, but it was a beautiful moment. I took opportunity when it knocked on my door, okay? So you probably have heard of that song, at least, because it's a banger. My mom hates it when I use that word, but it is. It's a banger. Okay, so that was again, the Unplanned mixtape was in 2009. 2009 was also when he joined with one Ryan Lewis. You guys probably have heard of this man. He was the producer. He was Macklemore's producer for a really long time. I did not know this, but they were actually really good friends for a long time before they decided to collab together. And that's an important thing about Macklemore and his career. He won't collab with anybody that he's not friends with, which I find incredibly wholesome and comforting in a strange way. So he and Ryan Lewis started their collab in 2009, and that went until 2016 when they basically went on a hiatus slash amicable split. I don't have a lot of literature on that, but we don't really need it. They're Gucci fam. So let's talk about the first album they dropped together, which was called The Heist in the year 2012. I don't even understand how we're still alive after this album, guys. I don't have words to describe this album. It oh, it changed the world, and I'm going to tell you about it. So this album hit number 2 on the charts, which is super awesome for a reason I'm going to tell you later. And this album actually won Macklemore 4 Grammys. That's right, 4. 4 Grammys. He won the Grammy for Best New Artist, Best Rap Album, Best Rap Song, and Best Rap Performance. What do you think those last two were for? Do you think? Do you think you might know? Best Rap Song, Best Rap Performance. Macklemore, 2012. What could that possibly be? That's right, it was Thrift Shop. Brr, 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 brr. Again, I wasn't planning on putting in a clip that soon, but it happened, okay? This episode is we're just straight vibing. We're having a great time. Clips are just going to be coming in, okay? I wash my hands of all responsibility. So, Thrift Shop. You guys know Thrift Shop. Everybody knows Thrift Shop. This song, I'm shaking. I don't even know where to begin with this song because it's so iconic. It's so iconic. It's so wonderful. It's so lovely. It's fun. It's exciting. And it's actually really, really important for his career and the things that you need to know about Macklemore. So before I just completely lose my mind, let me try and talk about Thrift Shop in a professional way. So it was again on the album The Heist, and it was the first song since 1994 to make it to the top of the Hot 100 chart without the backing of a major record label. Where do I sign this awesomeness? You can't sign to awesomeness. I would if I could. That's incredible. That's absolutely amazing. And it's because that song is absolutely amazing. Everybody knows where they were in the early 2010s when you heard the words, "Hey Macklemore, can we go thrift shopping?" That will never not be iconic. Okay, we were all there for a song about thrift shopping. I actually I actually saw a post recently that was talking about this song, about how in the song he talks about I only have $20 in my pocket and he still is able to get all these things, which would never happen now because of inflation. LOLOL. Anyway, so thrift shop. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about with this song. First and foremost, the music video. Okay, this is the only time that I'm going to say this in this episode because it only needs to be said once. And if it's going to be said, it must be said in relation to the Thrift Shop music video. Benjamin Haggerty, Macklemore, in this music video is the epitome of hello, sir. Like, holy moly. Wow. Wow. Whew. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I'm only going to say that the one time. Okay, let's continue on. Another important aspect of thrift shop obviously is clothing, and I mean it's about thrift shopping. But what I love about this song is how it kind of introduces the fact that Macklemore is a style icon. This is the song that gave him international fame, and he right out the gate was saying to the whole world, "Hey, I like to dress crazy, weird, but also beautifully wonderful." And everybody was like, "Word, awesome, we love you." Macklemore's style is iconic to say the least, and I love it that in this song that really catapulted him to being well known, it's basically just him saying, "Yes, I have great style because I go to thrift shops." I love it. And it's also this song introduced him again into international fame, but it did it in a really beautiful way that kind of just introduced who he was. There's a lot in this song that teaches you about who he is as a person, his style, his energy, how much he loves his hometown. I love that about this song. And when you think about it in this way, rather than just like, oh, this is a fun song about a thrift shop, it changes it a little bit. And I think that's important about all of his music. He has a ton of feel good songs like Thrift Shop. And I think if you dig just a teeny bit deeper, they all say something a little bit more than what they're saying. And on top of that, they make you feel good, which is one of the things I love most about Macklemore and his music. So, one more thing about Thrift Shop, it was actually named the number one hip hop slash rap song of the decade. I remember when he announced this, probably in 2020. I was so excited. That's not going to come as a shock to you. I think I've said I was so excited about a million times, but holy cow. So happy for him. We love Thrift Shop. Okay, so that's the album, The Heist. That's all we're going to talk about with The Heist. Let's talk about the next album that Macklemore and Ryan Lewis released together. That was in 2016. And this album is called This Unruly Mess I've Made. You guys, people of the world, people of everywhere, listen to the words that I am saying. This album is so, so, so good. It is so incredible. It's so much fun. And it has a lot of significance to me, and I'm going to tell you why. This album is kind of his first album that I really, really listened to. When this album was super popular was when I became a diehard Macklemore fan. I had always loved his music that I heard on the radio, but I'd never really delved into any of his other stuff and like let's be honest, I didn't really care. But when this album came out and I started listening to some of the songs, it really encouraged me to look into the other music. And again, this album is what made me a huge Macklemore fan. And it's really interesting because the first song on this album that has that kind of significance to me is actually the song Downtown. I will be linking the music video because it's absolutely incredible. It's amazing. It's so freaking awesome. The Downtown music video has the coolest dance sequence ever, ever in the history of the world. Again, I'll be linking it. Go watch it. I remember when the song Downtown first came into my life, and I would listen to it just on repeat on the way to work every day. And I remember just loving it, just having so much fun. And I mean, you listen to the song, again, it's just this crazy, wonderful, feel good song about downtown Seattle, which, okay, little bit of a tangent. I finally visited downtown Seattle a couple of years after this album came out, and I listened to this song while driving through downtown Seattle. There's nothing more iconic than that. Okay, that's all I have to say. But rewind. Downtown. This was the first song that really connected me with Macklemore in a way that made me this huge fan of him. It made me want to continue on. So, love Downtown. We're also going to talk about 3 other songs on this album. Well, actually a couple more, but for the moment we're going to talk about 3 more. The next one that we're going to talk about is the song Growing Up, or Sloane's Song, featuring Ed Sheeran. This song is so beautiful. It really is. It's genuinely so beautiful. I'm actually going to insert a clip right now. Wasn't planning on it, but it's going to happen. Here we go. So there we go. There's that clip of that song, Growing Up, or also known as Sloane's Song, featuring Ed Sheeran. If there aren't tears in your eyes, there should be. It's a gorgeous song. It's Sloane's song. And since this album was released the year after she was born, you can safely assume he wrote this song around the time that she was born. And I think that that's so beautiful. This song is the first Macklemore song that ever truly just touched my heart, that really touched a sensitive place inside me and made me know, hey, there's more here than meets the eye. And it's really beautiful. Okay, so the next song I want to talk about is another feel good song called Dance Off, featuring Idris Elba. Iconic song. And also, the music video is very good. But I love this song. It's very, very fun. It's lyrically beautiful. Okay. There's something about the lyrics in this song that just make me feel so amazing. And when I sing this song, I can't help but just feel great about life. So there you go. Dance Off. Listen to it. The next song I want to touch on is called White Privilege 2. This song is so, so, so important. Please go listen to it. Really, please, please, please go listen to it. I remember the first time that I heard this song, I was actually sitting in the park. And I remember I was actually with some friends, but then I started listening to the lyrics more. And it was like the world stopped. And I just sat and listened to him talk about this. And it was the first time that Macklemore's music had touched me in a big world way, in a like and I think I'm saying like too much. I apologize. In a way, this song touched me in a way that made me feel as if there are issues out there that we can all be a part of and that we can all discuss and talk about, and it doesn't have to be hostile, I guess. Listening to this song was a really important thing for me, and again touched me really, really deeply. And again, I would encourage you to go listen to it. White Privilege 2 from This Unruly Mess I've Made. Very beautiful song, very important lyrics, and I recommend it. So, before we move on to some of his other albums, some of his latest work, there are a couple of other songs that I want to talk about. Just some things that I want to touch on. So, this next song that I want to talk about is so beautiful. And if I had to choose a favorite Macklemore song, I actually couldn't do it, but this would be in the top 3 for sure. It is beautiful. The sound is beautiful, and it also has an incredibly powerful message. This song is called Drug Dealer, and I'm going to insert a clip right now. Again, I remember one of it, I don't know if it was the first time I heard this song, but I remember listening to this song in the early days when I first heard it, whenever that was, and I remember just being overwhelmed with how beautiful the sound itself, just how beautiful the song sounded, and then how crazy the lyrics were, and how it crazy probably isn't the right word, just how powerful and necessary they were. And I was kind of in the middle of discovering this, and I was at a friend's house, and her husband and I were talking about Macklemore, because that's what you do with your friends' husbands. Okay, you talk with them about rappers. And he said, I love a lot of his music, but my favorite song of his is Drug Dealer. And I think my jaw hit the floor, and I said, Tanner, we have to talk about this song. Shout out to Tanner for talking to me about Drug Dealer. A really beautiful song, just so good. Again, I encourage you to go listen to the whole thing. The next song that I want to talk about is called White Walls. I love this song. I inserted a clip of it earlier. It's just so good. It's just a feel good song, And it's really beautiful, and I love it. And one of the things I've already talked about this a little bit in this episode, but I'm going to talk about it again. I love his upbeat feel good songs because they're more than just an upbeat feel good song. Number one, they truly do make you feel good, but he knows how to make a really really good song that celebrates life in a simple way. This song is literally about white wall tires on a car. And then Downtown is about downtown Seattle. It talks about mopeds. He has a song about a dance off. He takes simple things in life and the simplicity of all the things we already have, and he makes it into something fun and upbeat. I mean, a song about thrift shopping is the number one rap hip hop song of the last decade. Like, that's crazy to me, but it shows what kind of talent he has, what kind of beauty there is in his work, that he can take these things about life and make them seem so much fun, and blow them up to this grand thing, because at the end of the day, they are the grand things. They are the things that mean the most and that are the most important in our life. He talks all the time about how we already have everything that we need to be happy. And we can, if we just realize that, then that's when we find true peace and happiness, is that we don't need to keep consuming to be happy. We already have everything we need. And all of his most famous songs that are so fun and upbeat are examples of this, because they're just so simple, but they're the ones that keep us dancing all the time. Come with me, if you will, to the year 2017. It was in June that Macklemore announced he and Ryan Lewis had been split, broken up, hiatused. That's when it was officially announced, okay? And then something else happened. Something really cool. And if I remember correctly, I think these things happened on the same day. He announced, hey, we're not working together anymore, but everything's fine. And then he also did something else. He released his first independent solo single in a really, really long time. And I know you know this one. Okay, so besides the fact that this song came upon the world and shook everybody and was crazy popular and wonderful because it's amazing, glorious, featuring Skylar Grey, wonderful. All of you guys remember how wonderful this song was when it dropped. It was everywhere, and it was really, really beautiful. And I think it was quite the power move, because even if it wasn't on the same day, it was around the same time. It was quite the power move for Macklemore to say, hey, I'm not working with Ryan Lewis anymore, but here is this incredibly awesome song. And again, there was nothing hostile about them not working together anymore. Nothing at all. They just didn't work together anymore. Like everything was really fine. And it was this time when Macklemore was solo again, doing solo stuff. And I think everybody was probably like, okay, whoa, because most of us, most of the world didn't know Macklemore before Ryan Lewis. And so I think there was this moment of like, well, can Macklemore do anything without Ryan Lewis? You know, can he continue on making great music? Can he keep up this momentum? I think there was a little bit of worry there. And then he drops Glorious and shows us how wonderful he is and always will be. And it's not that Ryan Lewis made him who he was. I mean, they just were really, really awesome collaborating together. And Glorious was the perfect song to drop that really showcased that. So, Glorious is the first single on Macklemore's first solo album in a really long time. That dropped again in June of 2017. Let's travel again. Let's travel forward a couple of months to September 22nd, 2017. I'm sure that all of you remember where you were that day, because I do. That day was the day that the world received the album Gemini. The cover features Macklemore standing by a really awesome car. The whole thing is this bluish tint. This album, wow. I'm going to talk to you about the day the album came out. Okay, so the album was dropped. I knew it was dropped. I needed a physical copy. Okay, it was 2017. Streaming was obviously absolutely a thing, but I wasn't a streamer really at the time. And but even if I had been, okay, I needed a physical copy of Gemini. It was a really important album. I was so excited. I needed to hold a physical CD in my hands. So I went to the store and they didn't have a copy. Crushed my heart. I went to a different store. They also did not have a copy. I went to another store. They did not have a physical copy. I said to my friend, "Get in the car. We're going." We drove. I drove a half an hour away to a different city, to two more stores, finally found a copy of the Gemini CD. And wow, I was very wonderful, okay? Let me just toot my own horn here for a second. I was committed to this idea. I wanted a physical copy. I wanted that experience. So I hadn't heard any of the other songs. I hadn't looked it up or anything. I waited until I got that physical copy. And I will probably never forget. In fact, there's no probably about it. I will never forget what it was like to get back in my car that day, slide the CD into the CD player. You know, you watch it read and you watch it start to play, and a song started playing, and wow. As some of you probably know, the very first song on the Gemini album is Ain't Gonna Die Tonight, featuring Eric Nally. Again, I'll never forget the moment that that song started playing in my car on that day, September 22nd, 2017. After I had visited many, many, many stores to try and find a CD, I found one. This started playing. And besides the fact I remember my jaw just dropping, I remember, like, I think I put both hands on each side of my face and just went, "What? Oh my gosh!" And it's actually really awesome that my friend was there, because I was just sitting there lost in this moment, and she actually got a video of it, and she has this video of this pivotal moment in my life, and I'm really, really grateful for that. I'm so grateful that she has the video, but I'm grateful for the moment itself. We're going to spend some time on the Gemini album for a lot of reasons. This album is just absolutely mind-blowing and breathtaking, and any other very overused adjective you want to use. There's something about this album that just is indescribable. And I'm going to talk about it a lot. I just said that, but this album is actually really, really important to me for many, many reasons. Number one, I'm also a Gemini, which connects me to Macklemore in a very intimate way. Okay, not really. Lots of us are Geminis. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how accurate it is. There's a lot about being a Gemini that I don't relate with. You might not realize this. I'm actually an introvert. Actually, maybe that makes sense. I'm sitting in my bedroom alone with my dog talking into a microphone. I'm actually an introvert. That's not a Gemini trait. Anyway, I'm also a Gemini. So I was excited about that. But the main reason that this album is so important to me is because it came to me in a really, really tough time in my life. Now, I'm not going to go into the details because this isn't about me, and quite frankly, I don't want to. But it was not a good time. And for a really, really long time, I was seriously struggling and genuinely just not okay. I was genuinely not okay. And this album came into my life, and it has the full spectrum of feel good songs, of celebrate life songs, of just jam out songs, of really, really make you think and feel songs. There's so much about this album that should be celebrated, and so much about it that is really, really comforting to me. And I just love it. I love this album so much. Most recently, so last September, it was the 5-year anniversary of the release of Gemini, and I bought a special vinyl for it. It's purple instead of blue. It's awesome. I was super stoked when it came in the mail. Um, I love Gemini, and I'm going to be sappy about it again later. But first, we are going to talk about some of the songs. We've already talked about Glorious a little bit. The next one I want to talk about is Good Old Days, featuring Kesha, the one and only iconic Kesha, who we love. Raise your hands, thank you. This song again was a single, and it was really, really popular. And there's a lot you can say about it, but for the most part, it's just so beautiful and important. And it's not complicated or anything, it's very straightforward. Just realize that today is your day. Live in the present, realize that good times aren't in the past or in the future. They can be and have been, but they're also now. And it's really, really powerful. One of my favorite parts of the song is when Macklemore's rapping. He's talking about what he wishes he would have done when he was younger, not drank so much, been more comfortable with himself, not worried so much about what other people thought, wish that he would have asked a girl out, just all of these really simple things. But that when you're thinking of the concept of oh, like, what are the good old days, these things start coming to you. This is one of those songs that is supposed to make you realize those kinds of things and really take charge of your life in the way that you in this way that you can, just in seizing the good moments and in realizing where you're at. And obviously that's so important. And as some of you may or may not know, when Macklemore went on tour for this album, he actually went on tour with Kesha. Iconic. And okay, saddest story in the entire world. Okay, he and Kesha were performing about 4 hours away from where I live. If you're European, that sounds ridiculous. If you're American, you're like, oh my gosh, that's just a day trip. Which, exactly, it's just a day trip. My younger sister and I are pretty big Macklemore fans. Some of our older sisters, I have a lot of siblings, by the way. That's neither here nor there. Some of our older sisters like Macklemore, they're okay with him. And so we said, hey, like, there's still some tickets left. They're just, in the back, but can we please go to this concert? It's Macklemore and Kesha. And our other sisters were too busy. They are moms. They have really busy lives, but they couldn't come. And so my little sister and I just didn't go. because we're silly, ridiculous little twigs, little bumps on a log, and we didn't go. Guys, we did not go. We missed Macklemore and Kesha, and we regret it every day of our lives. We talk about it a lot. We have since gotten over that kind of thing. She and I have gone to 2 concerts by ourselves now. We've matured and grown up. We've learned from our mistakes, okay? But we were sad. We were really sad that we missed Macklemore and Kesha. But another thing about this song, Good Old Days, is the music video. It's so beautiful, and I will link it in the show notes. Okay, next song that I want to talk about from Gemini is Marmalade. I, shocker, I love this song. And I love it because it's just cute, to be honest. And maybe that's not the term that everybody would use, but I think it's cute. And I love, again, the music video. I suppose I'll link that as well. Marmalade features Lil Yachty. And I remember when the music video came out, I was watching it with one of my really good friends. And if you have seen the music video, you know that there's 2 little boys in the music video that, like, basically you think, oh, like, that's Macklemore and Lil Yachty, but they're little kids. And my friend said, "Look, it's a Lil Yachty." And I just laughed because I thought it was funny, because now I'm sitting here trying to justify my sense of humor. No, that's funny. It's a Lil Yachty. Go watch the Marmalade music video. It's awesome. This song is so much fun and I love it. The next song I want to talk about is Corner Store. Corner Store is the most iconic song. I love this song and it is just so much fun. Again, the music video. I talk about music videos a lot, obviously, Kay, and there's going to be a lot I have to link for this episode. But the Corner Store music video stands apart from others as this work of timeless classic art. And I'm going to tell you why. Macklemore is in this music video. Obviously, it's his song. He's in this music video in several different roles and in several different costumes. At one point, he's a police officer. At one point, he's a drunk from the alleyway. At another point, he's somebody's mom. It's incredible, and I love this music video. But again, this song is so much fun. It's literally just about going to a corner store at 2 a.m., which, even if that's not something you've done, I feel like that's something we've all done. To just get some mango high chews and a bag of chips. Like, yes, absolutely. We've all done that. And I love it. And it's amazing. It's so great. Yeah, I'm actually going to pause here and add a clip of Corner Store because I love it so much. Okay, there are 2 more songs from Gemini that I want to touch on. And I'm not going to justify it. I'm not going to. I love these songs. You can decide for yourself whether or not you like them, the level of appropriateness, appropriosity. That's probably the word. I love these songs. They are Willy Wonka and How to Play the Flute. And I love these songs, okay? They're kind of a classic dirty rap song, I'm not going to lie to you, and I love them both. I know the words to all of them and I love them. And they actually what's interesting isn't the right word. What's different about these songs from the really, like, upbeat feel good songs like Marmalade or Corner Store is that these songs are still, like, fun in a lot of ways and are, you're supposed to be able to, like, jam and feel good, but it's also there's just an edge to them. There's an edginess to them that I really, really appreciate. Again, Willy Wonka and How to Play the Flute. 2 of the best songs on the album. Maybe the 2 best songs on the album. Fight me. I'm ready to fight about that, but we don't have to because we can just bond over how great the album is in general. We do, however, again, need to talk about the How to Play the Flute music video because it's amazing. But actually, the best thing about the music video is at the very, very beginning when it's just this montage of different fans being asked their favorite song on the album. And a lot of people, oh, Glorious. Glorious gets mentioned a lot Good Old Days gets mentioned a lot. Nobody ever says How to Play the Flute, though. They say pretty much any other song. Nobody says How to Play the Flute. And at the end of this montage, Macklemore says, "The fans have spoken." And then he does the How to Play the Flute music video, which is iconic. So I am going to link it. But again, I just really love this song and it makes me happy. Hello, everyone. This is Jordan from the future. I have to come in here and interrupt this segment to let you know that I lied to you. That is not the beginning of the How to Play the Flute music video. I did know that the beginning was him talking about. Anyway, I do know what the beginning was. The video that I am talking about did happen. I promise. It's just something else. Um, just so you know. Okay, bye. So, Gemini. Gemini, obviously, is an album I care a lot about, and it's just wonderful. It's this full spectrum of everything good, and if you don't have it in your life, adopt it in your life immediately, and it will bring you joy. It has been with me through a lot of hard times, helped me in a lot of ways, been with me on good days and on bad days. And more than that, it has sustained us because if you've thought about this and done the math, come with me here. Gemini was released in 2017. As of today, it's 2023. So that's right, you did the math correctly. We have been waiting for another album for 6 years, about 5.5. 5.5 years. We have been waiting for Macklemore to drop another album. And Gemini's just been there with us waiting, okay? And this punk, okay, freaking Macklemore, this punk does this thing where he randomly drops singles and they're fire, obviously, and you're like, OMG, this is incredible. This means we're getting an album. No, no. Actually, no, it doesn't mean that. I'm looking at singles such as Shadow, which is so good, so good, so good. Other singles such as Next Year, again, so good. He's dropping all these singles randomly, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, the Lord has happened, okay? Miracles happen every day. Macklemore's dropping an album, and then it just never happens. He's just coming around, randomly dropping music into our lives, but it's not the magnum opus that we needed. However, there is one single in this whole waiting period that we need to talk about. And we need to talk about it because it is, I need to think of a different word than iconic. When Macklemore dropped this single, my world actually exploded. It did. And if you are a kindred spirit in any way, you might know what I'm talking about, or you'll know exactly when I say what single this was. It was I'm gonna like laugh cry. This song is so good. It's so incredible. And more than just how fantastic the song itself is, everything that he released with it, he released a lot of like promotional videos and stuff like that. Wonderful. Just out of this world, incredible. There are no words. This song was released a couple years ago. It is entitled It's Christmas Time. That's right, friends. We're talking about Macklemore's Christmas song, which is again titled It's Christmas Time. Sloane is featured in the track. She's the one that says in the beginning, "It's Christmas time," and then again later. And it's amazing. The lyrics are wonderful. It describes Christmas like we all lived it growing up. And it's just so good. And as a Christmas lover and I just really appreciate this song. I appreciate all of the lyrics and everything. And I love it that he said, "Hey, my name is Macklemore. I'm known for my wonderful, amazing songs and great lyrics. I'm going to do something that's more incredible than anybody can ever imagine. And I'm going to release a Christmas song." And then he did it. I'm going to play a clip for you. And if I can find all the videos I talked about, I will link them in the show notes. But Macklemore fed us. He did that for us, okay? He did that for you and me. He released a Christmas song. In case you couldn't tell, I really, really love It's Christmas Time. It's such a good song, and the lyrics are so, so great. It's worth celebrating. I remember when it came out, I actually, every year, one of us or multiple of us will go to my grandparents' house and help them put up their Christmas decorations. And I remember going to my grandparents' house that year, putting up their Christmas trees, and I had that song on full blast, people. I mean, it's on my Christmas playlist in between Perry Como and Frank Sinatra, and just Macklemore enriches that playlist more than I can say. And I remember feeling like a teeny guilty for like 3 seconds because I was playing Macklemore at my grandparents' house, and then I thought to myself, whatever, this is an amazing Christmas song. And then I talked to my sister about it later, and she was like, Jordan, they probably didn't understand anything he was saying. And that's actually, that's valid. That's real. So I no longer feel bad for blasting Macklemore's It's Christmas Time at my grandparents' house. I shouldn't have in the first place, actually, because it's a fantastic song. I think my favorite part of the whole song is when he says, I'm a dad now, but still feel like a big kid. It's so great. And he also talks about like wrapping presents and how he wow, how he wraps them in a very janky way. And I love that. It's just beautiful. So, yes, Gemini's been with us. These random singles have been with us while we've been waiting for a new album. It is, again, the year 2023 right now. And for a few months now, and by that I mean several months now, Macklemore's been dropping some singles. But guess what? Like I just said, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're getting an album. So, I mean, we were excited, we were happy. We're always here for new Macklemore content, but did it mean that we were getting a new album? Not necessarily. But then something absolutely crazy happened. He announced that he was releasing a new album entitled Ben, and that it was coming out on March 3rd. People, listen to me now and believe this if you believe nothing else about me. When I read that he was releasing a new album, I lost my freaking mind. I was so excited. I posted about it everywhere, which means on 2 Instagram accounts that I have. But I was just beside myself. I was so, so excited. I immediately bought merch, which I'm so glad I did. It came not that long ago, and it's beautiful. There's a t-shirt, I got a CD, and I got a signed photo, which is hanging on my wall right now. Please be jealous if you feel so inclined. Thank you. So, let's talk about something important. Let's talk about my philosophy for how you listen to a new album. Again, back in the day of Gemini, I wanted the physical copy, got in my car, listened to it then. I have listened to many new albums that way. Recently, the way that I listen to new albums is I wait until I have a good amount of time by myself. Then I go in my bedroom, I lay on my bed, and I put headphones in, and I just listen. I just listen to the album. That's what I did this time. Went into my room, put on my headphones, turned on the album Ben, and I just listened. And I don't know, wow, what can I even say about this album? It's just so good. Underline so good, forever and ever and ever. It is so, so good. If I was like a music critic or something, like I fancy myself to be, I would say, something like it's a much more mature, evolved sound, but with everything we always love about Macklemore, which is true. But it's also so much more than that. This album is powerful in a way that his albums and songs have never been before. Again, it references his whole process with addiction recovery, it references his relapses. It talks about so many different things in such a beautiful, beautiful way. And I love that about this album. I love it that it has all of the things we love about him. It's got the upbeat tracks, but it's also got the tracks that make us think. And so we're going to go through some of the music from Ben, and I'm going to talk more about the Spotify Live. So the first song that I want to talk about is 1984. When I joined the Spotify Live that day, 1984 was playing. He had started playing that song. And it was just so much fun because that song is incredible. And goodness, I just love it so much. I'll pause and put in a clip of 1984 really quick and tell you more about what Macklemore said about the song. So, if you haven't heard it already, you know from the clip that I just played that 1984 is a great song. I love it. I can't even explain to you how I love it because I love it in this way that I can only feel in my soul. But it's like it just keeps going, getting better and better and better until you just want to dance until you die. It's so good. I love it so much. The next song I want to talk about is called Heroes. Oh, guys, I lied to you. I just glanced at my notes. It turns out that I lied to you. 1984 was not the song playing when I joined the Spotify Live. It was actually Heroes. Pardon me. Um, that doesn't take away from 1984, but it does show how great Heroes is. I love this song. It was a single that he released not too long ago. I love a lot about this song, but mostly I love how it's just a tribute. Again, go listen to this song. Listen to all of these songs. Just cuz I put a clip in here doesn't mean you've listened to the song. Like go do it, please. Thank you. What I love about Heroes is how it's just him saying, "Hey, when I grew up, my heroes were criminals," essentially. The chorus says, "My heroes didn't look like yours." But it's this tribute to these people that he looked up to and kind of how that made him who he is, and it's I think it's really great. It's a tribute to not only who he is now, but also to music and to the musicians and the people that have inspired him. And I find it very refreshing and lovely. And I think he's so good at doing this about I think it's an awesome way to tell the story of the things that inspired him. He's so good at telling stories like that or making points about things and doing it from an angle you wouldn't expect. I think that's a lot of what Heroes is. Okay, let's talk about the song No Bad Days. This song is your traditional Macklemore song. It is a traditional let's celebrate life song. Let's just be okay. And this song, besides being fantastic, okay, listen to me, friends and colleagues. Sloane Haggerty herself in the flesh directed this music video. And if I can find the video, I will link it. But again, you can find it if you just follow him on Instagram. There's a video of Macklemore sitting down with Sloane and saying, "Hey, I've been thinking about the No Bad Days music video. I really like your style and the things that you do. How would you feel about being the director of this music video?" And she just the light that comes into her eyes is so priceless, and she starts crying and they hug each other, and it's this really, really beautiful father-daughter moment. And then over the next several days, he posts more videos about like their first collaboration session and all of these things that she's suggesting as part of the music video. There's one video about her saying to him, "How do you feel about horses? About riding horses?" And he says to her, "No, actually I'm not cool with that. I probably won't ride a horse in this music video." And she says stuff like, "You have to climb the mountain. You have to conquer your fears." She goes on a tangent with those kinds of words for a while, and then she goes, "Sorry, I was in a poetry phase." And then, of course, he rides a horse in the music video. So it's really beautiful. So, so lovely. And you know what? She did a great job. She really, really did. Sloane did a fantastic job. Again, I'll link this music video. If you don't but here's the thing, if you don't watch any of the music videos I linked, that's fine. watch this one because it is Sloane's work and it's amazing. It's her artistic debut in so many ways, and I'm so proud of her. She did a great, great job. So, no bad days. Listen to it, watch it, love it. The next song I want to talk about is called I Need. Now, this song has a lot of things. And if you want to look at it technically, I guess it's a satire, you know? In this song, he's saying, I'm trying to think of a lyric he says, like, I need to buy shoes. I need diamonds. I need a yacht. He's saying, I need all of these things. But what he's really saying is how we don't need those things, obviously. That was really profound, Jordan. But it's, it's the song, one of the songs on the album that really makes you think, that obviously has a really, really powerful message, but it's so beautifully written. And the way that I just communicated the lyrics makes it sound like it might not be, but it really, really is. From the first time that I heard it, I knew it was one of my favorites on the album because of how it was written. And in the Spotify live that we did, I say as if I was part of it. I wasn't. I did not orchestrate the Spotify live. I was merely a willing participant. But he played this song, and I commented about how from the moment I first heard it, I loved how it was written. I just I just really liked the writing and everything. And I'm pretty sure that he wrote this in response to my comment because it was about lyrics. But he then said, "This is it. It is so beautiful. This is some of my favorite writing on the album." So I think that's really important to point out. This song, I Need. Not only does it have a powerful message that makes you think, but the writing is so beautiful and it's really important. And it's also it's one of those songs that makes you realize, like, hey, I'm not just listening to this musician or this music or whatever to always feel a certain way, or like, I'm not saying that Macklemore is going to make you feel uncomfortable and make you feel like you need to be an activist all the time and blah blah blah. That's not it. Macklemore is a rapper, is an artist, is a musician who knows how to explore and express life from every angle. And I really, really appreciate that about him. And I Need is a really good example of that. We're also going to talk about the song Grime. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it, but what I will say is that this song is chef's kiss of rapping. The rapping in this song is like liquid gold dripping off of walls. Like, obviously, Macklemore's a rapper. He raps, okay? But the rapping in this song specifically is so good. It's the kind of rapping where if you can memorize the words and you can rap it, that first time you rap all of it flawlessly, you feel like your head's gonna explode because you're that cool. That's grime. It is. I really like this song. Um, but more importantly, actually, than grime, though it is a great song, is the song Tears. This song was really unexpected for me, honestly. This song is about the disease of addiction. It's about his experience with addiction specifically, and he's talking to his addiction. Addiction is a character in the song. He's saying, "I met you at this age, and we did this," but he's really talking to his addictions, and that makes it a really, really powerful song. Well, it's a powerful message anyway, but humanizing his addiction in that way, I think sheds a lot of light on the disease of addiction and on the sway it holds and how powerful it is. It's not just this thing, it can be like a person, it can be this other character in our life. Um, and I think that that's really important for anybody who's, even if you have never suffered the disease of addiction or anything, I think that that's really important to understand. So, Tears. Tears is such, such a good song, and I just really love it. And I have a couple more songs I want to talk about, but I think I'm going to stop for just a second and put in a clip of Grime because, again, that rapping is liquid gold. Okay, I actually lied to you. I have 3 more songs on this album that I wanna talk about, but isn't Grime lovely? I'm so excited about that clip because it has one of my favorite parts of the whole song in it, so you could back up and listen to it again if you wanted, it's really good. Really quickly, like, very briefly, I wanna touch on the song "Sorry." I haven't read anything about this song, haven't heard anything from his perspective, but it's pretty obvious that this song is about his wife, and just I have on my notes, "Sorry," underlined, a huge heart, and then in capital letters, OMG. And I think that's all you need to know about this song. Sorry. It's very, very good. Please go listen to it. The next song I want to talk about is called Chant. Now, this song is actually the first track of the album Ben. And again, this was a single that he dropped, and there's a music video that, again, I will link and would recommend watching. This song makes me cry when I listen to it, and it is because it's just so powerful and so touching and just wow. I mean, I think it really talks about the struggles that we can all face and the human condition in a lot of ways. This song talks about his relapse in 2020, how he almost died in the hospital. It talks about how it just wasn't his time to go. It talks about how people said that he was over, but and done, but how he rose again, how you can rise up. It's so inspiring. And I love it that he started the album with this song because then in the middle you get all of these other songs about, that go more in depth into the struggles or into the highs. But by starting the album with this song, it really sets the tone of everything, and it's so good. This song is just so beautiful and so heart-wrenching and so inspiring, and I just love it. I would just wow. Chant featuring Tones and I'm actually getting a little emotional. It's so beautiful, and I'm so grateful to him for being that open about his life and his struggles to make such a beautiful piece of art as this song. Go listen to it. It's so great. Finally, we're going to talk about the last song on the album called Tail Lights. And I decided to talk about these songs back to back, the beginning of the album and the end of the album, because they're similar in a lot of ways. But Tail Lights, even though Chant is very, very inspiring and tells you, hey, you can, we're going to rise above all these things, Tail Lights is inspiring in a different kind of way. It reminds you of your humanity in an almost nostalgic way. It talks about seeing taillights, writing your name in dust on the dashboard, which I've done that before. I have written my name in dust on a dashboard. And again, even if you haven't done something like that, I feel like it's a emotion, a sentiment we can all relate to. There's something about taillights that is so just beautiful and again inspiring, but not in an overwhelming, powerful, I'm going to be okay sort of way. Taillights is inspiring in a very soft, this is who I am and where I've come from sort of way. And I love it. It's so soft. It's really interesting. I would choose soft to describe this song, even though when you listen to it, you might not think so. But soft is how I would describe Taillights. And I mentioned before that I have a signed picture of him from the merch bundle for Ben, and that the lyrics to Taillights are actually on the back of that picture. So, and if you choose to end your album with that song, I feel like it says a lot about it. And it's just really lovely. The lyrics are, again, very hopeful, but in a nostalgic way. And I enjoy that about it so much. I'm going to hurry and put a clip in, and then sadly, we're going to come to the conclusion of this wonderful episode. Okay, fam, friends, and fans. I understand that this episode is pretty long, and I would apologize for it, except I've had a lot of fun. I've had so much fun making this episode, and I hope that you've had fun listening to it. It's been a blast. And so here we are. We're going to finish it out. Macklemore's most recent album, Ben, is out. You can get tickets for the Ben tour, which is starting soon. I will link in the show notes the tickets for the tour. Guess who has learned from their mistakes tenfold? That's right, Jordan. My little sister and I have tickets for the Ben tour. I am so excited. I don't even know how to explain it to you. I could actually die. I'm finally going to get to see Macklemore in concert. We're going in October, and that's it. After that, I can die happily. So I'm stoked about it. Um, in my case, so I've referenced a lot of things in this episode. So in the show notes, I'm going to link a bunch of music videos. I'm going to link tickets to this tour. I'm going to link his new album. But I'm also going to link some addiction recovery resources for any of you who may need it in any way, because I think that's important. But I want to finish off with just a couple of things. So I want to talk more, just a little bit about something that I didn't mention in the episode yet, but something about Macklemore that is really interesting and I love. So we did talk about his iconic style, how I mean, what even is his style? Eclectic 70s dad? Can I say that? Oh my gosh, it's so good. But he's this style icon. It's just the way that it is. And around, I think it was in 2020 or thereabouts, he started playing golf, okay? I don't know. Maybe if any of you out there know exactly when it was, let me know, but I'm fairly sure it was around 2020 when Macklemore started playing golf. And he actually has a golf clothing company, a golf clothing line called Bogey Boys, and I will be linking that as well. Guys, I don't play golf. I don't know anything about golf, but this line of clothing is enough to make me want to golf or at least pretend to. I'm here for it. It's amazing. And one of the great things, there's a million great things about Macklemore and about Bogey Boys, but I mentioned earlier about how Sloan directed the No Bad Days music video, and one of the things that helped Macklemore decide to ask her to do that was they were having a photo shoot for the newest Bogey Boys collection, and she was with him the day that they were doing the shoot, and he was going to take a couple pictures, and she styled him for that photo shoot, picked his outfit and everything, and he loved it so much and thought he looked so good, and he was so impressed with her that he was like, okay, yeah, like I'm going to ask Sloan to direct this music video, which I think is so, just so lovely. And besides all these other things he does, again, I want to touch just on how important his family is to him. And you'll find this everywhere in his music and anywhere he posts. Family is the most important thing to him. He loves his family, he loves his kids, he loves being a dad. And I find that so, so wonderful, wholesome, pure, whatever you want to call it. And I find it inspiring in a lot of ways. This person who has reached international fame and can do literally anything he wants. Like, he just wants to be a good dad. How wonderful is that? I think it's incredible. And even though we know Macklemore as a musician, music is just, from what I've been able to gather from following him for years and being an avid fan, I just feel as though music is more of an extension of his life and who he is rather than what he is. And I think that that's really important to understand. And I think that that applies to most of us, actually, in any of the things we do. We can be passionate about a lot of different things, but we're not just one dimensional. And if nothing else, maybe this episode has helped you realize that. Even if you're still not a Macklemore fan after all of this, first of all, I don't know how you can be that heartless, but second of all, at least you understand that. And if you've realized that, then maybe I've done my job. So here we are. Thank you so so, so, so very much. If you've listened to this whole thing, I can't even tell you. I have had so much fun doing this episode. Thank you for listening, for all the things. I am really looking forward to similar episodes like this, and just an overwhelming from the bottom of my heart thank you. I've loved this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Everybody go listen to Macklemore. Live it, love it, all the things. And I will see you next time on Not Strictly History.